Hey, my friend.
Hello.
Look, it's been 10 years.
My body feels like that. Yes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Case Files.
With Kat.
And Ashley.
We did it.
Yeah, we did. Woo, we remembered our names. High standards here at our show, guys. I meant to tell you before we started recording, I got another Philip. He came in the mail. He has arrived. For anyone who is unfamiliar, Philip is our black
I can't believe it. How much did you pay for him?
Too much.
I don't want to know.
He's not coming out of his box. I'm going to find the other one. I'm going to find Philip 1.0. This is Philip 2.0. So anyways, I wanted everyone to know that we have Black Philip again. He's a goat from The Witch. That's why his name is Black Philip. That's his name in the movie. In case no one knows what I'm talking about, it's a good movie. He's the great goat. Yes.
He's the great goat. Is that what you said?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He is the goat. Anyways, now that I have just off track. Anyways, what's up?
Hi.
Hey.
I had a beer today.
Oh, you did? I thought you were drinking vodka over there.
I am, but I went to this little Mexican restaurant joint that we go to on Wednesdays sometimes because of Anderson's drum lessons.
Oh.
And so I was like, I'm going to have a Negra Modelo.
Oh,
and
yeah?
So I was just like, give me a tall one. Plus the Astros game was on. So it was fun. I felt like it was proper. Astros are winning,
Good.
top of the 8th. We're good, 7-1.
I was forced to drink a Bud Light over the weekend. That was disgusting. And I don't miss them.
Was there a gun to your head?
No, my uncle's funeral was in Santa Fe, and they it was at a bar, to tell you. The memorial was at a bar.
As one does.
As my family does. Anyways, and all they had was like Bud Light and Miller Lite. And so I wasn't going to drink, but my aunt said she hadn't, in front of everyone, said, you haven't refused a beer since you were 3. So then I felt obligated. Yeah, my family's great, guys. And so I out of obligation, drank a Bud Light. And I'm here to tell the tale that I survived. Yes, precisely, Kevin 1.0. Precisely.
I'm sorry. There's water and soda. You could have had either.
I did. It's called Bud Light. It was not a pleasant experience. I forgot how bad it was, actually. Sorry to all you people out there who drink Bud Light.
I'm so sorry. We're snobs.
We are snobs, and that's okay. You can drink whatever you want. You can drink anything you want. Anyways, I'm drinking lager beer again from Equal Parts just because I love Equal Parts. I would live there if I could. So yeah.
Well, awesome. So how has your week been?
Well, I think Kevin 2.0 just sums it up really well. It's just, been a week with my family and everything else, so.
Oh man.
Good times.
Well, that's good times. It's good times. Well, I'm glad you're here, and
yes, I'm impressed. I'm here. So
yeah, I am too. So what's your question of the week? What do you have for us?
So my question of the week was, what is your favorite movie to watch this time of year? Like this time of year, like Halloween season, they always put out like the fun Halloween movies. It doesn't have to be a horror movie. It could be like any kind of fun, like movie that they re-air at Halloween.
Okay, so I'm looking at the list.
It doesn't even have to be from that list. You're talking about on the actual post?
Yeah.
I'll go with my answers first while you think about it. I have a lot.
Yeah, go. I was going to say I have a few that I would like to say. Uh-huh.
I always watch Ernest Scared Stupid because I love the Ernest movies.
Okay.
Hocus Pocus.
Uh-huh.
Addams Family. I'm showing my age here, but Double Double, Toil and Trouble. It was a Mary Kate and Ashley movie. Halloween Town was one of my absolute favorites. And then Casper, I don't know if they've done more, but the 90s one. Because I always wanted the ride that he had in his house. I wanted that in my house.
Okay.
I am old. I love Double Toil and Trouble.
When I was a kid, A Nightmare on Elm Street would have been the movie. I watched a lot of Nightmare on Elm Streets. Freddy Krueger was my guy. But I would say The Exorcist, The Shining. I watch that any time of year, actually.
Yeah. I was gonna say I watch the Freddy movies any time of the year.
Poltergeist and The Lost Boys. I haven't seen The
Lost
Fly
Boys
in a long
are
time.
here. A lot of those movies are so good to watch all the time, though. You know. But yeah, that was my question. Just because I see all these streaming services and they always have their own little section of
Hocus Pocus. I'm sorry.
Yes, Hocus Pocus. Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. Hulu is Huluween. Peacock is Peacocktober. Yes, go on. Yes, you don't have to whisper.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes, always.
And Addams Family. Sorry,
yes.
they weren't listed here,
no,
so I'm just that's it. I have a lot. I like scary
I know, I do too.
If The Conjuring were on there, I would have said that too, because that's.
Oh, it doesn't have to be from that list. It could literally be from, like I said, it could be any movie that airs this time of year. You know, like I said, Hulu has their Huluween section, and Netflix has it, and Peacock is Peacocktober, which is the weirdest name for their little Halloween section. But anyways, Disney has their 31 days of Halloween. Okay, I'm just gonna jump in. Wow, I cannot speak. This is a really good start. I haven't even started my story yet. I just started drinking, guys. I'm gonna skip to my trivia. I don't know why I said skip, because it's literally the next thing on our agenda. Okay, here we go. Trivia. According to the most recent stats on police clearance rates of crimes in the United States, clearance rate means they have closed and solved the case.
Okay.
So according to the recent stats on police clearance rates of crimes in the United States, if you murder someone in America, there's nearly a 40% chance you'll get away with it. If you severely assault someone, there's a 50% chance you'll get away with it. Rape has a 66% chance. Robbery is 70%. Larceny theft is 80%. Vehicle theft is 67%, and burglary is 67%. Now, that's not to say you should go and commit crimes and say case files with Cat and Ashley told you get away with it. I'm just telling you, statistically speaking, the clearance rates in the United States are some of the lowest in the world. So just keep that in mind if you are ever a victim, that unfortunately here the police are not always the best at clearing cases. Let me just rephrase. They're not the best at clearing cases. I was really surprised that there was 40% chance you would get away with murder, but I guess with so many people and whatever else, I guess it's kind of easy. Travelers, truck drivers.
It goes with that story I did last week, right? There's so many that there's so many unsolved. And
you can look these stats up. Those are I looked them up more than one place just to verify those were accurate. And they are on official government websites and stuff. I mean, you can look those up. As of 4 days ago, there are up to 4,000 unidentified serial killers in the United States, with experts saying there are as many as 50 currently active serial killers at any one given time. The United States also has the most serial killers than other countries in the world.
I wonder why that is. We just have a lot of people, but no, because other countries have more people than us.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it said that the United States had definitely more serial killers than other countries.
We're number one. We're
yes,
number
and
one.
all of the important things. Low clearance rates and serial killers. Woo! And probably true crime podcasts were probably number one in that too. The intense. This is the last little bit of trivia. The intense sexual arousal or attraction upon being with a person who has committed a violent crime, such as rape or murder, is called hybristophilia. Hybristophilia. It's a long word, guys. I can't pronounce it. But it's also known as the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. So it's an actual mental state when someone is attracted to people in prison or who have committed violent crimes. Like it's a recognized mental obsession. Like it's recognized as a sexual thing. And so the spelling of it, if anyone wants to look into it, and I'll put this in the notes, is HYBRISTOPHILIA. Or you can just look up the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome, because that's what most places refer to it as. So
wow.
I just thought that was interesting. There was an actual category for those type of people.
So is it like a disorder? Is it like a mental disorder? There's something is it something that people go to therapy for? Or
you can go to therapy for it.
Bleeding?
It is considered, in some cases, a mental disorder. But outside of that, I mean, it's not something like, I don't think you can take like medication for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can do treatment, you can try to go to therapy and stuff, but I don't think there's like, you know, it's not like a disability. Like you're not going to be listed as a disability to have it.
So it's like all those women who were trying to marry Ted Bundy and I mean, just every other person.
Yeah, you got to think about some of them, if they were doing it for their 15 minutes of fame or if they were doing it because they had this, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Some people physically, this particular category is people who feel compelled to be sexually, like they're sexually, like they can't control it. They
I see the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
wow,
so
that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's its own little category. So in case you didn't gather from my trivia, my story tonight is about an unsolved murder mystery. Now, one moment. We'll probably have to edit this out. My word froze. Okay, we're back. Perfect. Okay. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Tonight, like I said, I'm going to be talking about an unsolved murder mystery that actually happened not that long ago. It happened in 1981. And it's had updates for several recent years. I believe the latest one was in 2018. They mentioned something in 2020. It is still currently unsolved, though. They just have more updates. So I don't know if you've heard of it. It's the Keddie murders. Like the name of the city is Keddie, not like a child murder.
Kitty or DD?
Keddie. Yeah. Okay. In 1981. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
In 1981 in Keddie, California, there was a quadruple homicide in a rural resort town in Sierra Nevada. The victims were a mother and her 3 children. The mother was Glenna Susan Sharp, daughter Tina Louise Sharp, son Joseph Sharp, and his friend Dana Hall Wingate. So she had another child. She actually had several children, but those 2 were murdered with her. One was missing after the murder, and then I'll talk about the other ones.
Where was the husband?
The one that was missing, the child that was missing for years, and we'll speak about her a little bit later. We'll also speak about the husband here in a moment. So Glenna, who often went by Sue or Susan, was a dark-haired woman. She was started being very attractive. She was a single mother of 5 children. Like I said, everyone kind of just called her Sue. In 1979, she left her husband because he was very abusive. not just to her, but to her children as well. I see your look, but we'll get to all of the suspects.
Everybody at home, you're listening to this and you're like, that's it, solved and case closed.
Until you hear the whole story.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
There's a lot of suspects, right? There's a lot of suspicious things that happen in this case.
I'll be quiet.
So she leaves her abusive husband. Her brother, who helped her and the children start a new life, lived in Quincy, California, which was about 150 miles north of Sacramento. So she packs up her children. She moves across the country. She moves from North Carolina to California. Like, she cross country to get away from him. They lived in a trailer park for a very short time, but then Sue decided to move 5 miles away from Quincy into the mountains to a place known as the Keddie Resort. So this was like, it used to be like a busy railroad like terminal. It was in the Sierra Nevada mountains. It was really beautiful, but it wasn't very populated because when the railroad closed down, a lot of the workers were the ones that lived there. And so when the railroad closed down, they moved where the railroad went. So anyways, the town had tried to reinvent itself. It was trying to become like a recreational camping, like a hiking resort area. And when this failed, the Keddie Resort owner, his name was Gary Maloff, and he turned a series of cabins into low-income rental housing. So Sue's ex-husband was in the military when they divorced, and the Navy gave her $250 a month to start her new life. Now, I didn't know the military did that. I don't know if they still do that, but at some point, they gave...
Wow, I've never heard that. Yeah.
She got $250 a month to start her new life. So she also worked a part-time job at like this little lodge, and with that money she brought in, Sue rented Keddie Cabin 28 in the fall of 1981. So over the next few months, Sue worked hard to turn their new mountain community into like this permanent home for her children. So John was 15. He was the oldest. The oldest girl was Sheila. She was 14. Tina was 12. Tina was the one that went missing after the murders. And then the two younger boys were Rick, who was 10, and Greg, that was 5. So Sue was always trying to make the situation better for her children. Like she was trying to make herself better to be able to get better jobs. So she took like a typing class. She had gotten financial aid to take like some other courses. Neighbors described them to be pretty typical. Like the kids were integrating well. She was doing well. There was never like any loud commotions. They didn't cause trouble. They were just very friendly. The children were attending school. They had made friends. Like it was a very good situation. So from the front door of the rental, there was a small wooden crib I don't know why I said crib. There was a small it was a small cabin that they were renting, and it was the living room, and then beyond the living room was the kitchen and 2 bedrooms. Yeah, I don't know. Beyond the living room was the kitchen and then 2 bedrooms, and so the girls, they shared one. The 2 younger boys shared a room, and then the oldest boy, John, he slept in like there was a basement, like a ground floor basement that he got all to himself. And so from the ground level in the back of the house, there was a flight of stairs that led to the main living area. So like you walk in and it's like a living room, and then like 2 bedrooms downstairs, and then you go up some stairs and there's like another like little living area. I guess is how I imagined it.
I can picture that.
There weren't pictures of the inside of it, but basically the main living area was upstairs. So the 2 girls shared a room, 2 boys shared a room.
Was it like the oldest
had a basement?
Was it it wasn't a townhouse then. Okay, so I can picture that.
Yeah.
I can picture that.
And so that was the layout. The 2 girls had one room, 2 boys had the room, and then the oldest had his own room. So on April 11th, 1981, Sue and the kids were in and out of the cabin throughout the day. There was a neighborhood boy named Justin who would spend the night with Sue's 2 youngest sons. The three young kids, they were hanging out in the house. They'd been there all afternoon. John and his friend Dana had spent the day in Quincy. Around 1:30, Sue and her oldest daughter, Sheila, went to pick John and his friend up. Then at 3:30, the two teenagers headed out again. They had planned to return home later that night. Sue had urged them not to hitchhike, but passerbyers confirmed in reports that they saw John and Dana on a street corner trying to flag a ride home around 9:30 or 10 that evening. So there were multiple people who said, yeah, we saw them out, Sue, who had spent the later part of the afternoon with her daughters, Sheila and Tina. All these kids' names rhyme. Sheila and Tina. Sheila was 14. Tina was the younger daughter. In that evening, the two girls went to the family house next door, which was cabin 27. It was literally just 15 feet away from their own cabin. There, they were like hanging out with friends. They watched TV. Now, Tina went back home around 9:30. Sheila decided to stay the night at the neighbor's cabin. So Sheila was at cabin 27. Tina was at her cabin. The youngest two boys and their friend were in the cabin. John and his...
With who?
With Sue. So okay. Sue, Tina, her two youngest boys, their friend, and then John and his friend were all in cabin 28.
And who was in 27?
And 27 was Sheila, the daughter, the 14-year-old daughter.
Okay, sorry. This is just
there's
a lot of people.
Children in play.
There's a lot of people. Okay. I need the whiteboard with the
Let's make it
red
easy.
string.
Majority of the people, except for Sheila, were in cabin 28.
And how old was Sheila? 14?
Sheila's 14.
Okay.
In theory, all the other kids were at cabin 28, and then two of them had friends over. So in total, there was like 7 or 8 people in cabin 28, okay? Anyways, so the next morning at around 7 a.m., Sheila, now remind you, this cabin is only 15 feet away.
Got it.
Sheila returns home from her sleepover. When she opens the front door to the living room, she discovered a massacre. There was blood everywhere. The living room was in complete chaos. Sue, John's friend, they were all dead on the floor.
I remember this. Okay. I don't remember the outcome, but I remember this. Oh my gosh.
And so there was electrical cording and medical tape bound to their wrist and ankles. After she saw the scene, she ran to the next door cabin to get help while the Seabolts, which were what the neighbors, the Seabolts. They tried to calm her. Their teenage son, Jamie, went to the cabin 28 to see if anyone was still alive. Now, the 3 youngest boys, Rick, who was 10, Greg, who was 5, and then their friend Justin, were all in the bedroom. Were all in their own bedroom. They were asleep. They did not know that this murder occurred. Jamie ushered them out of a bedroom window so they would not see the crime scene. Right.
What?
Right.
So were they given drugs?
And Tina was missing. The 3 boys were asleep in their room, but John, who was the oldest son, and his friend and the mom were all murdered in the living room, and then Sheila was next door visiting. Or sleeping the night.
Tina was how old?
Tina was 12.
Well, oh my
god. Okay. The police arrive about an hour later around 8 a.m. and they begin their investigation of the murders. Sue and John had suffered similar type of wounds. Their throats were slashed and they had multiple stabbings and blunt force trauma to the head. Dana, which was John's friend, had severe head injuries, but he had been strangled. So, so his murder was different than the other 2. Sue was gagged. Yes.
What? Blunt force trauma to the head seems quick, sort of. Well, it seems like something, but I feel like strangulation, because of the domestic violence work that I do, like strangulation is so personal.
Well, that was the friend. That wasn't a family member. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so personal.
He had injuries, but he was also strangled. So Sue was gagged deeply with a bandana and her underwear. Tape secured the gag in place. She was naked from the waist down, but there was no sign of sexual assault. Blood patterns indicated that her legs were initially, spread apart, but that someone moved her and covered her body with a yellow blanket after the murder. It is unclear at what point that happened or who moved the body. The two boys' bodies had also been moved. Again, no one knows at what point or why the bodies were moved. Given the extent of the brutality of the murders, there was plenty of evidence that was left. They discovered the investigators discovered 2 bloody knives, a hammer, and a plastic piece from a BB gun. The weapons included a steak knife that came from Sue's kitchen, and they found a bloody fingerprint on a handrail that was leading down from the back door of the cabin. There was blood all over the victims, the floors, the walls, the ceiling, both bedroom doors. Mind you, the 3 boys were asleep, but there was blood on the doors, and on the railing of the outside stairs. However, the perpetrators did not leave behind any of their own blood. If they suffered any injuries during that fiasco, it wasn't serious enough for them to be bleeding and dripping blood. They did not leave any DNA on the tape either. Due to the chaos, yes. Mm-hmm.
So the boys were upstairs. The murders happened downstairs, or downstairs, upstairs. They were separate. They weren't on the same floor.
The murders and the bedrooms happened on the same floor.
Oh. Never mind, because I was going to say, we could be making lots of noise and the kids are never going to wake up downstairs.
You walk in and there was a main open area and then the bedrooms, and then you would go up the stairs to a different level. But the murders and the bedrooms were on the same floor.
I see. Okay, now I'm picturing
everything. So someone walked they opened the door and there was the murder scene.
I remember
bedrooms were right past the murder scene.
I remember the image of the cabins.
So, due to the chaos, it actually took everyone, including the police, a few hours to realize that Tina was not there. Her own sister did not realize, the boys did not realize that Tina was not there.
Oh, my God.
So, there were some blood stains on her bedding, which suggested that she might have been kidnapped from her bed after the murders happened. Unfortunately, many hours passed since her disappearance, and so finding her nearby was very, very slim. So they began to, yes.
I'm just, let's say, I don't know. I'm just sitting here going, oh my God, what if she's watching the news and nobody's there's a 12-year-old missing. Nobody realized that she's missing. None of her family. I'd have been what?
Well, to be fair, a good portion of the family is dead. So, I guess 2 are dead and 2 are tiny and 1 is in shock.
That's true. I guess that's true.
I mean, I don't know, right? I don't know, but I imagine they were mostly in shock, right? And they, I don't want to assume their mental state or anything. I'm not trying to blame them, but nobody noticed that Tina was missing for hours. So, they began to question the neighbors, which all that lived near 28, and neighbors reported they had heard muffled screams and groans that woke them up between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., but unfortunately they could not determine where those sounds had came from and did not hear them again and went back to sleep. The 3 boys who survived said they slept completely through the entire incident. Now, investigators have said, considering the level of violence that took place and the fact that neighbors reported hearing screams, that it seems impossible that the 3 boys did not hear anything. Also, they say the murderers must have been aware that the 3 boys were in the cabin because there was blood on the doors, as if the doors had been opened, because they had to open the door to get Tina. Tina was in her room asleep. They had to open her door and take her. So they opened bedroom doors. So investigators theorized that someone might have interrupted the murders taking place before the culprits had a chance to kill the younger children in their bedrooms. Maybe like one of the neighbors were, they heard the neighbors out investigating, whatever.
Wow.
They feel like something interrupted the murders because they basically grabbed Tina and ran, and the 3 boys were left alive. So later, police learned that maybe not all the boys had actually been asleep. It was evident.
Listen, we can have a party and my kids will sleep through it sometimes. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying the police learned that maybe not all the boys were actually asleep. I'm just going to leave it at that until later.
Okay.
It was evident that Sue had put up a fight during the attack, as she had defensive wounds on her arms. But oddly enough, John and his friend did not have any defensive wounds or blood under their fingernails. Therefore, to the investigators, it appeared that they either did not have a chance to fight or they chose not to fight back. All of their injuries, all 3 of them, all of their injuries happened after they were tied up. So the throat slashing, the head wounds, the string, all of that happened after they were tied up. Findings confirm that the weapons used on the victim's head were 2 different hammers and a BB gun in Sue's case. Like Sue had also been shot by a BB gun. The plastic piece that the police found in the cabin matched up to a Daisy 880 BB gun, and additionally, the same gun matched the impressions that the butt of the gun left on Sue's head. Again, all the murder weapons were left in the house.
Oh my God.
So despite the multitude of evidence, and there were a few suspects, there were no arrests. Many people believe that the police were either extremely incompetent or corrupt, and that they were covering up this crime. They thought the police were covering up this murder for some reason. And I know this may come as like a big shock to everyone that's listening to our stories, but it was true that the investigation failed to log numerous pieces of evidence, and they overlooked some leads. So I know, shocker. Around a month after the murders took place, the neighborhood friend, Justin, he was one of the survivors. He was he was staying with the boys. He told his therapist that he was having dreams about the murder. In his dream, he had tried to stop the bleeding in Sue's chest with towels, and he covered her with a blanket. And so they said, was it possible that he actually witnessed the murders or woke up at some point during the night but blacked it out? He was placed under hypnosis in an attempt to recall any details of the night. Justin said that he was watching TV in the boys' room before he fell asleep. He began hearing noises out in the living room and claimed to have seen Susan with 2 men. One of them was tall with blonde hair and a mustache, while the other one was shorter, dark-haired, and clean-shaven. Justin recalled that both men wore glasses and that the 2 older boys, John and Dana, came home while Sue was talking to these men. Somehow, this erupted into a bout of violence between them, which resulted in the murders. Justin also claimed that Tina came out shortly after, and one of the men abducted her out the back door. But you have to remember that the police found blood on her sheets. So did she come out and the men abduct her, or did they go into her room and get her? So although the story is intriguing, Justin may have gotten information about the case from the media during those 4 weeks after the murders, between his therapy sessions and going under hypnosis. So additionally, some sources say that on the hypnosis tapes, the police made suggestions to Justin during his session, so it could not be used either way. Tina. So Tina was the 12-year-old daughter. She is the one that went missing. She is believed to have been at the crime scene, like we said. The clues suggested that the perpetrators abducted her Because she was a minor, the initial search for her involved the FBI, but for some unknown reason, the FBI just quit investigating after about a month. Just quit. Yep, no explanation, just gone. It wasn't until 3 years later, on April 22nd, 1984, when Ronald Pedrini reported that he was in the woods about 90 miles southwest of Keddie when he stumbled upon something very suspicious. He was supposedly collecting cans. I don't know why they said supposedly, but it said the source said he was supposedly collecting cans, and a human skull and mandible turned up. Investigators initially thought that this may have belonged to a Native American because they were, that was an area for them. However, an anonymous, I'm just telling you what the reports from the police say. That was, I know, but they said it. They thought it may have belonged to a Native American person. That's a direct quote. However, an anonymous call to the sheriff's office reported the remains belonged to Tina. 2 months later, a forensic analysis of the teeth confirmed that that was indeed Tina. Near her bones in the woods, detectives also discovered a pair of jeans with a missing back pocket, a blue jacket, a blanket, and an empty surgical tape dispenser. However, none of this evidence helped the investigators whatsoever find the killers or determine how she died. They didn't know how she died. They couldn't figure it out because she was just bones at that point. So, some of the person of interest. The first one is Marty Smart. I love it. Marty Smart with 2 T's. A person matching a person matching the description that Justin gave became a primary suspect in the investigation. Just happened to be Justin's stepfather, whose full name is Martin Smart, also known as Marty. Marty, his wife Marilyn, and Marilyn's 2 sons lived in cabin 26, only 2 cabins away from the Sharps' house just across the lane. Marilyn and Marty happened to be taking the same typewriting class that Sue was enrolled in that I mentioned earlier. So they knew her. They were familiar with her. They knew what cabin they were in, and Justin was friends with the family. Most descriptions of Marty say that he was an unsavory individual with a criminal record and a mean demeanor. He admitted that he had a problem with his temper, and Marilyn had claimed that he tried to run her and her son over. Right.
I mean, everybody's listening going, so, okay, case solved, we solved it. Closed.
Mm-hmm. You would think so. During his interrogation, Marty offered to the police that his hammer with a blue handle had mysteriously gone missing. Shock. He told investigators that his stepson Justin might have seen something on the night of the murder without the killer detecting the boy. However, investigators didn't address these statements, and the police did not arrest or ever interview Marty again.
Oh my.
Here's where it gets... Here we go again. After his interrogation, this part's not suspicious whatsoever, Marty Smart left Keddie and went to live in Reno. Then he moved to Oregon and died in 2000. So he was he was described as one of the men arguing with Sue, took the same class as Sue, had a criminal record, admitted he was violent. His wife admitted that he tried to run her over. He had the mysterious hammer that was a murder weapon that went missing. His son was there and described him. And then after the interrogation, which he was never questioned about again, he moves to a whole nother state.
So
he died of cancer, by the way.
So if I had a big red flag, I'd be waving it manically in the air.
We haven't even gotten to the red flag yet.
Oh my God. Yes,
later, it came to light that Marty was a very close and personal friend of the local county sheriff, Doug Thomas, at the time of the crime.
That's it.
Moreover, it appears that Marty actually confessed to the murders of 2 different people. However, investigators must have buried these facts until 2016 when new discoveries reignited the case. So when this murder happened, those two murder confessions that Marty had made never came to light. Marty's counselor at the Veterans Administration in Reno told police that Marty confessed to killing Sue and Tina, but not the two boys. According to the story, Marty said he was angry that Sue had convinced Marilyn to leave him. On the other hand, his reason for killing Tina was that she had seen everything. As a result, he couldn't allow her to live. Although the counselor initially reported Marty's statements to the police, not long after the killings, the police did not log this information as evidence, and they never followed up with this information again. And that would, to me, would make sense why he didn't kill the boys, because it was his stepson. So anyways, Marilyn Smart, the wife of Marty Smart. A few years later, after the murders, Marty's wife, Marilyn, said that she had found Tina's bloody jacket in their basement and had given it to the police during their earlier investigation. Unfortunately, shockingly, there was no record of this ever happening. If she did turn in a jacket, the police once again did not even acknowledge it or log it as evidence, and it has never been seen. Marilyn later said in a 2008 documentary that she believed Marty was the perpetrator and that he had confessed it in a writing to her. In a letter, Marty supposedly said, "I've paid the price of your love, and now that I've bought it with 4 people's lives, you tell me we are through. Great. What else do you want?" Once again, the police did not investigate this letter, and they did not submit it as evidence.
I want to throw things. things. I'm looking at this right here in my hand. I want to throw it because I'm just like, Wah!
Next, we go to John. I don't know how to say this guy's name. His name's really not that important. It's important, but he's not important. John Barbady.
Sure.
Marty had a friend named John Barbady. I don't know how to say his name. I don't like this man. I don't like Marty, so I don't care how you pronounce their names. He had been living at Marty's house. The two had only met weeks before the killing, while John was receiving treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. On the night of the Keddie Cabin murders, Marilyn, John, or Bo as they called him, and Marty had been out drinking at a local bar together. All three returned home later, but Marty and Bo went out again. When they returned to the bar much later, they were wearing suits as if they had been spent the evening at a business meeting. One theory that people said is that they really, really wanted people to notice them at the bar during, like as in an alibi. During the interrogation after the murders, John or Bo or whatever you want to call him told police that he worked as a police officer in Chicago for 18 years. However, this turned to be a lie. He also exaggerated about how long he had lived in Keddie. And additionally, he said that Marilyn was his niece, which was also a lie. And some sources claim that he had a crush on Sue, who rejected him twice. Despite his lies and inconsistencies throughout the entire story, and with every literal thing he said which was proven a lie, the police cleared him as a suspect. Even though the witness to the murder said that there were two men that had just happened to look like his stepson and Bo, anyways, he was cleared as a suspect. Later, investigators learned that Bo had a criminal record and was working as an enforcer with the mafia in Chicago. Investigators believe he was working with the Department of Justice as an informant. And this may be the reason the Department of Justice in Sacramento stepped into the Keddie case early on. But curiously, instead of sending homicide detectives to the murder scene, they sent organized crime investigators. It is unclear what evidence linked Bo to the mafia, but nonetheless, it was crime. It was organized crime investigators that were processing the scene. It is unclear exactly how they knew he was tied to the mafia, but I feel like, it was just ridiculous. They didn't even really, interrogate these two guys. They basically had murder confessions. They had the weapons. They had all of the stuff. And Anyways, so Bo also left Keddie after the murders and returned to Chicago, where he died in 1988. So the two suspects at this point are dead. One died of cancer. That was Marty. And then Bo died in 1988. It doesn't say of what. I'm assuming, I don't know, mafia. Who knows? So those were the suspects. They're dead. So the new developments in the case, the first one came in 2013, and this was the Plymouth County Sheriff Greg Hagwood hired Mike Gamberg as a special investigator. Gamberg was a young detective when the murders happened. However, he did not have any involvement at the case at the time. Since his recruitment in 2013, he has made several new discoveries. So in 2013, he located a recording of the anonymous 911 call that came in after Tina's body was found. Mysteriously, the recording was at the bottom of an unopened evidence box. Gamberg sent the tape to other law enforcement agencies for analysis and possible leads. So the 911 call had been recorded, but it had been buried and basically not processed. Never looked at. I feel like if you find a dead body in the woods and someone calls you and tells you exactly who it is, like, why would you not? But anyways, in 2016, a man sweeping...
There's so much about this.
I'm not trying to blame... Yeah.
I'm just... My head keeps going like...
Just stating facts here. As my stat said, 40% chance of getting away with murder. In 2016, a man sweeping around with a metal detector found a hammer in a dried-up pond near Keddie's entrance. It matched the description of the one Marty gave in his interrogation where he said it had gone missing. Sheriff Hagwood believes that the location couldn't have been accidental and that someone intentionally threw it in the water. Gamberg also discovered a hunting knife in Keddie under some junk and sent that in for further analysis. Then, in 2018, Gamberg matched the DNA from the murder scene to a known living suspect. Since then, no arrests have been made, and the names have never been released to the public. Nevertheless, but
I'm just. Are you kidding me?
Nevertheless, Gamberg says that 6 people may have been involved. 2 suspects, Marty and Bo, are dead. All of the other suspects are alive. The other 4 suspects have never been named, as mentioned. So there are still investigations happening. There are still several people of interest. The results of the analysis and tests of the 911 call and the hammer and the knife are unknown. As far as the person who gave John and Dana a ride home, Gamberg has indicates that he identified a woman and has interviewed her and cleared her. So here's a little bit of other theories. Gamberg and there's a man who's the owner of a website called Keddie28.com. He goes by the name DMAC. He believes that Susan Sharp and Marty Smart were having an affair. Gamberg thinks that at the same time, Sue was counseling Marilyn to leave Marty. DMAC does not agree on this point, but some investigators believe that Marilyn was somehow complicit in the murders. It seems that Marilyn learned about an affair between Marty and Sue. The statement from Marty's letter, "What else do you want?" sounds like Marty is asking, in addition to what you already asked for, what more do you want? As in, I killed her, the affair's over. What more do you want? Now, that can't be proven. That could literally mean anything. She could have written the letter. I'm just telling you the theory is that they think that there was an affair happening. Marilyn found out about it. She told him she would leave if he didn't end it, and he killed her to end the affair or whatever. Marilyn moved out of the cabin 26 the day after the murders. Investigators claim that she was having her own affair at the time, but she has since remarried and is still very much alive and, not considered a suspect in the murder. So, that's how I felt. Sue's surviving children left California to live with an aunt. Unfortunately, They later went into foster care as their aunt already had several children and could not handle any more. Sheila, which was the daughter that found the murder scene, has spoken about the event. She's done several interviews. She's mentioned, however, that she doesn't talk to her brothers about it because she's trying to protect them. So she kind of keeps them from doing interviews or talking about it, or people talking to them about it. Over the years, the resort has fallen into despair, and in 2004, Cabin 28 was completely demolished. The rest of the site has been abandoned, so there's no one living there at this time. Again, they have not released who the other 4 suspects are or why they haven't been arrested. They haven't mentioned any of that. It is a very open case, so, I mean, if you lived in the area at the time, or you know one of the 4 suspects, or you have another suspect, you can call the Plumas County Sheriff's Office. The case is very, very, very much alive, and they are still investigating it. Like I said, they have suspects, but no arrests. So that's my story about the Keddie Cabin murders. Unsolved murder mystery.
I have so many feelings. There's a lot of just disbelief in there's just the sort of like, what's that word, like bungling? Is that a word? I feel like there's like bungling of the case. Like there was just a lot of things that were from the get-go kind of done correctly.
The main suspect was like BFFs with the sheriff, you know, and then they sent in like,
so whether it was intentional or not, right? Like whether it was intentional or not, it seemed like there was some malfeasance happening.
So that website I mentioned, the Keddie 28, it's the word Keddie and then the number 28.com is like a website that keeps track of the case, updates on it. They have like, if you really want to see the crime scene, they have that. They have the case files. They have, they go into more detail about the mob connection, the mafia connection. Basically they just have, and they have a forum where people can talk about it. So if you want to look into it, you can. And also in the show notes, I list the places that I looked in, because there's a lot of people who are like, you know, really involved, like really interested in this case because it's just so strange all the way around.
I remember it as it happened, and I didn't like keep track of the case over the years, but it just seems like things that are glaringly obvious were just sort of dismissed.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's what everyone like, I kept looking at you, like I'm squinting my eyes, like they just glossed over that. Like, like that seems like a lead.
I just realized this website did list one of the other suspects named Tony the Greek Garadakis. He was a suspect because he said, I was shocked when I heard the news as I was out the day before with Sue and her kids cutting firewood, but people found that suspicious because she didn't have a fireplace and she didn't have a wooden, like she didn't need it for the stove or anything. So I don't know, but anyways, so that was another one of the suspects. I don't know whatever happened because again, the police won't release any information.
Maybe he did, and yeah, I don't know. There's so much. Maryland sounds sus.
No matter what, they do.
Sus.
They do feel like there was at least 2 murderers involved in the killing because of the fact that the 3 were tied, and they don't feel like one person could have done all of that they did, and
with as big as the others were,
and
you're
kidnapped.
Right.
Yeah, and so who knows? Who knows what happened?
That's so crazy. Well, great story. And if I hope if you're interested in the story that you go and check it out, because if you know anything about that, yes. I'm sure they'd love to hear it. So,
yes, the phone number for the police department will be in my show notes, but it's the Plumas County Sheriffs in California.
Awesome. Well, good job. That story just makes
I know it makes me angry. It really makes me angry.
Like my brain just kept exploding. Like they did what? Okay, so I have answers to the question of the week. I'll start with the ones that are on our page. Great job on the story. So the question of the week was, what's your favorite Halloween movie to watch? Doesn't have to be on this list. My friend Laura says, I'm quite a wimp now when it comes to horror movies, but I like Hocus Pocus. But she says, but I do like Hitchcock movies, The Bird, Psycho, Vertigo, Rear Window. Those are all so good. RC says Addams Family. Yeah, so good. Sarah says Hocus Pocus. And I love all the Ghostbusters movies and all the 90s slasher movies like Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Summer. I just said it like Sarah. Summer. Jessie says Silent Hill and Nightmare Before Christmas. She also says, I also listen to spooky stories, such as the collections from H.P. Lovecraft and recently a podcast on Spotify called Lore. I heard about Lore. I heard that was good.
It is good.
Carissa says, love spooky movies. Get that blood pumping, but have to include practical magic and Hocus Pocus. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love to get scared. Okay, so I have on my page, David says Hocus Pocus with a nice little gif. Ariel says, I'm not going to pronounce it, so please forgive me. Noroi, The Curse, which is a 2005 horror film. It's a Japanese horror film.
Oh, those are the scariest. Japanese horror films are like...
Yeah, so Noroi, it's spelled Noroi, and it came out in 2005. So Noroi, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I keep saying the same thing over and over again. Sorry about that. Autumn says Lost Boys. Oh yes. Rakisha says Jeepers Creepers. Man, I haven't even thought about that movie in a long time.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
I had a dream that I was Justin Long, and what's so funny is like that was the first time that I like flew in a dream, and I was in this house and I was like showering, and I got out of the shower and I scratched the mirror, like wiped the mirror, and I was Justin Long, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a boy. Like, how's that? That's crazy. So I went outside and I was just like in this boy body, and I just remember being like, this is cool. Like, I just felt like different, right? So I go running down the street, and I realized that when I jump, I sort of jumped off the ground and hovered in the air and kept going. And then that's when I realized,
whatever you're on, I need that. I don't ever have dreams like that.
Really? And so like, I was just really aware of being like Justin Long and Justin Long lookalike. And so I was just like, I jumped and I kept getting really, really high, and I jumped really hard, and I got to space. And then I was like, whoa, too high. And I like came back down, and I was like, oh, but that was like the first time that I felt like I was probably really lucid dreaming. And there's Justin Long.
My dream was I was driving an 18-wheeler for some reason, and I was on a time schedule, and I was having a mental breakdown because I had one delivery left and I couldn't find the location because I wasn't the normal 18-wheeler delivery driver that was the one that made that delivery. And then an old coworker of mine gave me the directions, and it was really weird. And that's my dreams. I don't fly. I have mental breakdowns in my dreams.
That sounds like anxiety. I'm like, I'm going to do astral projection. Woo! Okay, so, and then Amanda says, the only movie I've actually seen is The Lost Boys out of that whole list. Wow. So those are the answers. I didn't go on to Instagram, but...
I didn't post there. My mom's favorite movie, she didn't get a chance to post this week. She had some... unforeseen circumstances, but her favorite movie is Hocus Pocus. Yay. And the Freddy movies. And also, I meant to tell you, Kathy Bell messaged me over the weekend. She wanted me to let you know that she still loves our show and listens to us, even though her and her husband are off traveling the world, and that she loves us, and she wanted me to tell you hi, and she still listens.
Oh, Kathy.
Even when she doesn't get to answer the question of the week. So
we love you, Kathy. We miss seeing you around all the time. Yay.
Yes.
We love our friends.
Yes, we love our friends. We love our listeners. Our listeners are our friends. You can message us.
I know. I told Glenn, I was like, put together a beer case of beers because Brewdog apparently in the UK has all these amazing choices. I was like, I will pay for shipping. I will pay you for the beer. Just send it to me. Come on.
Yeah. Yes. We love our friends. No matter where you are, you can just talk to us, message us, story ideas, friend ideas, beer ideas. Whatever you want to talk about, we're here. You can message us anytime.
Absolutely.
About anything.
You are not alone. Okay, I'm not going to sing. All right. Well, we love you guys. Thank you for listening. Make sure we're on all the streaming platforms. Make sure to like us, follow us,
if you leave us review us now, they'll show up automatically on our website. So we got a new one. So thank you. We got a 5-star review from somebody.
Thank you. Keep them coming. Keep them coming because they help us get introduced to new people. So that's really important. But we love you guys. Thanks for listening every single week. And please message us if we can help you with anything, if you need anything, or just want to give us a beer review, a beer idea or a story idea. We're here for you.
Yes.
And next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Whoop.
Whoop, whoop. All right, everybody, be kind. Get ready for Halloween. Maybe I'll do something spooky. All right, everybody. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.